proper. Now we're talking about blood. Blood is a connective tissue, okay? The only catch is, while these other tissues are more solid, blood, right, it's fluid, right? It moves, right? So there is a non-living fluid matrix that makes up the blood, right? Plasma. That is the non-living fluid matrix. On Monday, when the question says, what is the non-living fluid matrix in blood? You will respond, plasma. All right? Oh, sorry, I locked it out. I knew I was supposed to be open for some reason. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have plasma, and then we have stuff that's alive. Just like in cartilage and in bone, right? You have like the matrix stuff, the stuffy stuff, and then you have the things that are living. And in living, we are formed elements. We have these cells, and there are 3 types of cells, okay? 3 types. And we will be studying these lovely things all this week. Not so much the thrombocytes, sadly, but we will be studying. So, our first one is an erythrocyte. An erythrocyte is a red blood cell, and I want you to start thinking erythrocyte now, okay? Because on your Monday exam, it might not say red blood cell at all. It might just say erythrocyte, okay? And then we have leukocytes. Leukocytes are white blood cells. So again, I want you to start thinking leukocytes. It might not say white blood cell at all on your exam. It might just say leukocyte. So eryth, right here, eryth equals red. Erythrocyte. And again, site equals cell. Red cell, right? Erythrocyte. And then leuc equals white. Leukocyte, white blood cell. All right? Red blood cells, white blood cells. If I was to take Brooke's blood right now, let's say she donates it to the class, thank you, Brooke, okay? And we put it into this little, well, this is embarrassing, this glass thing that holds stuff. Test tube, thank you. Yes, this little vial right here, okay? And we shook it around into that cool machine, okay? We separated it. We would see here, it would separate somewhat like this cartoon picture, right? This yellowish kind of stuff, there's our plasma, okay? And you see all the red blood cells, all the erythrocytes would take up this much space, and then this tiny little layer here called the buffy coat, okay? The buffy coat, I'll say again, okay, would make up the platelets and those leukocytes, those white blood cells. Yes?
So here's actually a fun story about Brooke donating blood.
Ooh.
For my eyes, I used to be on something called autologous serum tears.
Okay.
Where they would take my blood, they would spin it around in a centrifuge like that.
Centrifuge. I appreciate that word.
Yep,
Yeah, yeah.
And then I would take the plasma and refrigerate it and then put it into my eyeballs to repair my corneas.
Well, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Boom. So you're like, I really understand this.
Yeah,
This
totally.
makes a lot of sense to me. Yes, yeah. Wow, that's awesome. Man, science is so fun. So again, plasma. So you can see how much of your blood, that's the reason your blood is red, right? We'll talk about why it's blue when we talk about respiratory week, right? But the reason your blood has this reddish color is because of the red cells. There's lots more of them, right? If your blood ever has a whitish color, right? Or if it's a, like this might be kind of gross, but sorry. I burnt myself yesterday or the other day on a curling iron, okay? And a white pops up right here, right? That's all the white blood cells right there. That's the white, okay? That's the white trying to fight something. You ever popped a zit? That's fun, right? Right? That's those white blood cells and lots of other stuff going in there that have the whiter color. But the red comes from those red blood cells. So moving on. All right, so again, they outnumber white blood cells by 1,000 times, okay? So on Friday, when you're going to look through the microscope, and you're going to look through it, and we're going to look at lots of different slides of blood. And you're going to have to look through, and you will see that there are 1 billion red blood cells, okay? You will see that, and then you have to find the different white blood cells and see if you can name them, okay? That will be a big part of Friday, but there are thousands when you see, like there are so many. When a red blood cell is mature, in other words, when we're using it for oxygen, when it's doing its actual role, it is anucleate. In other words, there is no room for the nucleus in a red blood cell, so it goes away. It dissolves, okay? Because by the time a red blood cell is mature, you can think of it like a sack. And like a sack that carries an extremely important element called oxygen. Yes, it does. Your red blood cells are like big sacks of oxygen carrier things, okay? And you can think of oxygen carriers, what holds on to them is hemoglobin, okay? Hemoglobin, we're gonna go rewind a little bit more. Hemoglobin is made with something called iron. Anyone in here experience iron deficiency or anything like that? Right? Iron deficiency? Here we go. Ready? Without iron, you cannot produce you cannot produce a hemoglobin. If you cannot produce hemoglobin, there is nothing to attract in and stick the oxygen to you. That's all. You got my point, okay? You cannot stick it, so you cannot carry the oxygen. Hemoglobin, think of them as like little magnetic things, right? Your red blood cell is so full of them. Tons and tons of them. Each hemoglobin, okay? Each hemoglobin molecule right here attaches to 4 oxygen molecules, and there are so many in there. But if you are iron deficient, you cannot produce the correct hemoglobin. You cannot carry oxygen. And if you can't carry oxygen, oh, I'm sorry. You're going to be more tired. You're not going to be able to do a lot of, yes.
I have POTS.
You what?
I have POTS.
You have pot?
POTS. It's like, no, POTS. It's a...
Oh, I was like, okay, great. Okay. Yes, exactly. Yes. You're going to be very, yeah. So you don't want to be iron deficient, right? But sadly, I don't take any more time iron deficiency other than that. But that's what it is, hemoglobin, okay, right? Take those iron supplements, blah, blah, blah. Visit your doctor, blah, blah, blah. All right, so when you're speaking of going to the doctor sometimes they look at your blood and they measure your hematocrit, okay? They want to see how much red blood cells is in your blood compared to plasma, compared to everything else, right? So it's important that it's a certain high in number, because if it's not a certain height, then maybe you're low on oxygen and blah, blah, blah. So, moral of story, hemoglobin is the oxygen transport protein. Hemoglobin cannot be created without iron. Why doesn't it say that on here? I don't know. But that is definitely a Monday question. So good job to you guys for being here, because yeah, iron, okay? Hemoglobin cannot be made without iron, okay? And if it's not there, it cannot, and if hemoglobin isn't here, it's the carrying 4 oxygen per protein of hemoglobin. You are very welcome. Then we have white blood cells, okay? Erythrocytes, their only role is to carry oxygen. They're like big bags of it, okay? But our leukocytes, on the other hand, they have lots of roles. But first, less than 1% of them makes up the total blood, okay? There's very few, okay? And they are crucial in immunity and defense. So that's why I asked some of you guys if you could get sick this week so we could talk about you. So hopefully you're all, get sick, take up those germs, it'd be awesome so we could talk about you. And then all leukocytes have nuclei, they have organelles, they are working cells, they are fighter cells, all right, which we'll talk about in greater detail. And they're classified into 2 categories, either granulocytes or agranulocytes, okay? Granulocytes is like the grain, okay? So if you're looking at these granulocytes here, there are 3 granulocytes: basophils, eosinophils, and a neutrophil, okay? 3 of them. And if you look at the little grains in there, they're little vesicles of like toxins, okay? That's their little like storage things of toxins. And as you can see, eosinophils have the most, okay? Basophils have lots of little vesicles of histamine, okay? Histamines, which we were allergies. And the neutrophils, of course, have them for fighting, and we'll talk about those. So granulocytes, again, the granulocytes, eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils, and they look grainy. The 2 agranulocytes, the A in the front means not. So not grainy, a not grainy cell. Granulocytes, grainy cell, okay? Agranulocytes, they look more normal, and there are two. We have lymphocytes, and we have monocytes. If you look at a lymphocyte, you will see that the nucleus takes over a big part of the lymphocyte. That's because those guys build a lot, right? They build antibodies, they do a lot. We'll talk about them specifically, but they have a big nucleus. So, if you are looking through the microscope and you see a cell, and the nucleus is really practically takes over that whole cell, you will know that that is a lymphocyte. On the same side, if you're looking through and you see a huge cell, the biggest one, you will know that that is the monocyte. And the nucleus is kind of like a kidney, so to say. So to say? Whatever. Okay? It's kind of like a kidney shape. Okay? So let's go to more detail now of these cells. Oh, no. Using your Post-it right now, okay? Answering these questions, okay? Question number 1. Jackson. Oh no, I didn't give you a Christmas present. Anyone else not have a present?
We put our names on it?
No. Don't put your names on it.